is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for November 22nd, 2024. It's a Friday, and I gotta say, whenever you're in a radio station, well, old radio stations, it used to be buzzing with people. There was people walking around the hallways all the time, many coworkers to chat with, all of that. Now, there's not so many people in the radio station. And on Friday nights, there is basically no one in the radio station with me right now. I'm trying to look around. I went for a lap in that break right there to stretch my legs before I started the Skraby Show, but no one's here. And, you know, it kind of feels good, kind of feels weird, to be honest, because it doesn't feel weird because it's been like this since the beginning, since COVID, basically. I remember in COVID when we came in here, just Paul, Braden, and I got to come in studio during that, and it was literally just us for like 9 months or something like that. But I have all of you, and we have a good show ahead. It's going to be a fun Friday show. If you have any fantasy football questions, you can leave them in the chat, and I can try to answer those a little bit later. But we do have some Padres news to talk about today. We do have Daniel Jones to talk about. He was released by the Giants today. He has to clear waivers, and once he clears waivers, because if someone claims him, they're going to have to pay him his contract and pay him all of the money that the Giants did owe him. So they did not, no one wants to do that. So he's going to clear waivers, and then he can sign with whoever he wants. He's a free agent. So there's some interesting thoughts about that out there. Also, I just saw a video. Adam sent me a video, my boss, earlier in the Gwynn and Chris show, and I didn't get a chance to look at it until maybe like 30 minutes ago. I don't know if anyone has seen this video, but Ian Rappaport, a NFL Network reporter, is getting to the bottom of what he calls the biggest mystery in his career. And it all has to do with a head coach being fired after Ian Rappaport learned news and from a pretty trusted source that same coach was going to actually be extended. And so it made Ian Rappaport look kind of bad, but he has been wondering his entire career what happened, and we finally found out from this coach. So this is something I don't know that I've seen in a while or at all. I can't think of anything, but the coach using Ian Rappaport, and Ian Rappaport not happy. We'll have all of that audio as well. Plus, Mark Feinsand, who works for the MLB Network, MLB.com, he tweeted something about Jackson Merrill and the MVP ballots. I know that we're moving past the Jackson Merrill losing to Paul Skeens, but we're still in the same week, so I'm still going to talk about it just a little bit. I mean, I've already talked about everything else, but it is nice to know that some people are noticing what we're noticing here in San Diego. We'll talk about that. Also, Garrett Crochet. I keep seeing the Padres involve Garrett Crochet. I do not want Garrett Crochet on the Padres. I don't know what it is with Garrett Crochet. And obviously he's a good pitcher, but I don't know what it is with him and why the White Sox want to get rid of him so bad. So we'll talk about that too. I don't know if anybody knows what an oarfish is, but a lot of those are showing up here in San Diego. We'll talk about a lot of crazy stuff tonight. But first, I think we should start with this.
It's time to get caught up on the latest with the news of the day.
All right, so today was the tender, non-tender day in baseball, meaning for all the players that are in arbitration or that are under control by the team offers them a contract or not. And the Padres did offer a contract a contract was accepted. Not accepted. I always get this wrong. But anyway, Tyler Wade is coming back to this team next year. He's going to be making $900,000. He was arbitration eligible, but he agreed to a deal for $900,000 with a club option for next year. So Tyler Wade, very important piece to this team last year. Even if he didn't see him much down the stretch, Tyler Wade was on that team and doing things for that team all year long. I'm very happy to see Tyler Wade is back with the Padres. That's a big deal, I think. I mean, it's not going to change them whether or not they go to the playoffs, but you need someone like a Tyler Wade on your team to fill in when there's injury or when someone needs rest or when they need a pinch runner late in the game. And you need someone that's reliable. You need a veteran, and Tyler Wade is all of that. He's a veteran and he's reliable, especially when he's running the bases. So good move by the Padres, and he is going to be coming back. The 40-man roster for the Padres is now down to 33. It was 37 the other day before there were some players protected from the Rule 5 draft. But they did non-tender. The Padres non-tendered 4 players, which is why it goes down to 33. They have 7 more spots to fill before spring training. But the Padres non-tendered Luis Patino, who was arbitration eligible, Logan Gillespie, Bryce Johnson, and Mason McCoy. They're now free agents. Luis Patino, he was someone that the Padres had in their system, years ago. They traded him to the Rays. He didn't do very well with the Rays. I believe he got injured, and then the Padres ended up getting him back. But Luis Patino, for all that we talked about him, it's unfortunate that things did not work out for him, and so he's going to be looking for another team. Logan Gillespie, he did a good job when he was there, but not much to run off of with him. Bryce Johnson was on the team for quite a while, and Bryce Johnson is another good base runner, but I think they have some of those base runners already kind of locked up with Tyler Wade and Brandon Lockridge, who is on the team. And then Mason McCoy, who you may know him because he came up when Ha-Seong Kim got hurt. He played shortstop. He played some pretty good defense for the Padres, but he wasn't quite as effective at the plate, and so he was non-tendered as well. 4 of those players non-tendered. Tyler Wade coming back. 40-man roster, now at 33. Here's an interesting name that Tony and I kicked around before Gwen and Chris was over. Cal Quantrill, non-tendered by the Rockies. Now, Cal Quantrill was a Padre. He got traded to the Guardians a while back, and actually, let me see what year that was. He got traded to the Guardians in 2020. He actually got traded during the COVID season. He went 2-0 with the Padres in 2020, and then he got traded to the Cleveland Guardians, and he's been with them ever since until last year. He was a Rocky last year. Cal Quantrill, I thought, was an interesting prospect for the Padres when he did pitch for the Padres, and now that he's kind of been in other places and he's played for some other teams, I think that him coming back to the Padres is definitely on the table. I don't think he had anything bad to say about the Padres on his way out the door. They have Ruben Niebla, the pitching whisperer, that could work with him as well. So Cal Quantrill is an interesting name for me in regards to who got non-tendered today. He, I believe his number was $9 million, so the Rockies did not want to pick that up. But what I do know, and what Tony said earlier, is that some of these players that are getting non-tendered, it's not like the worst thing in the world for them. Cal Quantrill is now a free agent, so he can kind of go and just pick the team that he wants to play with instead of having to deal with being on a team like the Rockies, because he's under contract with them and he could do nothing about it. So they may have done him a favor, I guess, by allowing him to, or non-tendering him so that he can become a free agent. But that's someone I would like for the Padres to look in on. AJ, if you're listening, please look in on Cal Quantrill. Brendan Rodgers was the other non-tendered for the Rockies, which we saw a lot of him last year. So those are the two big names there. Now, I'm looking to see. There was a big trade. I'm seeing if anything new has come in here recently. But the Reds and the Royals agreed to a trade involving Brady Singer, a pitcher for the Royals, and Jonathan India, second baseman for the Reds. Also, Joey Weimer, outfielder for the Reds. It's a 2-for-1, sending Jonathan India and Joey Weimer to the Royals for Brady Singer. And just quickly I love going to Reddit, like fan Reddit pages. So I went to the Royals Reddit page just to kind of get a quick fan reaction. And everybody's very excited about Jonathan India coming to their team because he is the leadoff man that they have wanted, is what everything is what everybody is saying there. All the Royals fans, this is what they wanted. They want a true leadoff guy, and now Jonathan India is a Royal and not a Cincinnati Red. It's kind of strange with him because he was the rookie of the year, and then he kind of just fell off. I don't know what happened, but Jonathan India had so much promise and didn't really pay off the rest of it for the Reds. So I'm not surprised to see the Reds move on from Jonathan India, especially since they got pitching back, which is what they need. In other news, the Yankees, they reached an agreement with center fielder Trent Grisham on a $5 million salary. So he has another $250,000 in incentives. I didn't realize this, but he had a really, really bad year at the plate last year. I mean, I kind of already knew that, but I didn't know that he hit under 200, and he had an OPS of, let me do some quick math, like 600 something. So it was not a good year for Trent Grisham, but he's coming back to the Yankees. I mean, he got to go to a World Series. That's how it goes sometimes. But there you go. That's some of the baseball news out there today. Now, Daniel Jones was also released by his team, the NFL team, the New York Giants. And Daniel Jones, I have a hard time sometimes when coaches and GMs end up giving up on a player and kind of shoving them out the door. Now, this is not really what it seemed like happened here, even though it kind of does seem like this is what happened here. Daniel Jones was very appreciative of the Giants for releasing him so he can go find a new team. Again, if he goes through waivers and he gets to the other side with no teams claiming him, then he is a free agent. But I feel like Daniel Jones, again, I said this earlier, I don't know why I'm such a Daniel Jones fan. I feel like he has the tools that are needed to be an NFL quarterback. He can run, he has a good arm, but he just never put it together in New York. He had one good year where they went to the playoffs, and outside of that, Daniel Jones has not been great for the Giants, and Daniel Jones is very happy about this. He's looking forward to his next step because sometimes that is what is needed from a player, is going to a new city, new home, new coaches, new fans, and see what they can do with that. But again, I think I have a hard time with it because Brian Daboll, when it's the head coach always says it's their responsibility. The team is, whatever happens with the team is on them until it comes to their job, until they really, they're admitting failure by Daniel Jones, by releasing Daniel Jones. I don't think Brian Daboll had any, hand in drafting Daniel Jones, but still, like, if your organization's going to give him that big contract like they gave him and then kind of give up on him a couple years after that, and then they're eating, I believe, $20 or $22 million in dead cap money, which means basically they're paying for a player that's not going to be on their team next year, and $22 million is a big deal in salary cap land for the NFL. So it's it's an interesting decision because of the dead cap money, but I think they just wanted to move on and go forward without Daniel Jones in the building, which, Daniel Jones, from all indications, seems like he's pretty respected around his teammates, and the coaches said nothing but good things about him. But again, coaches always say that. It doesn't seem like he's a bad teammate or he's a bad employee or anything like that. I feel like a lot of quarterbacks get the bust status unfairly because I was front row to Alex Smith as a 49ers fan from 2005 to 2012. You know, Alex Smith, local guy, went to Helix High School. I always thought Alex Smith got the short end of the deal with the 49ers as the number 1 overall draft pick because he was thrust into playing immediately and he wasn't ready. He was on a terrible team. His coaching was terrible. In fact, he had 7 offensive coordinators and 3 head coaches over his 7 seasons with the 49ers. I don't care who you are not going to succeed in that type of environment. It's just not going to happen because everything is changing. All the terminology is changing. I always wanted to see Alex Smith get to a point where he was able to have the same offensive coordinator, same head coach for seasons in a row. It didn't really happen that way. He had a couple good years with the 49ers before he ended up being traded to the Redskins or the Commanders. I think they were the Redskins at the time. But I put it, it's not Alex Smith's fault. The organization, the 49ers, didn't know what they were doing after they drafted him. It's not Daniel Jones's fault that the New York Giants don't know what they're doing. Now, Daniel Jones wasn't that. He wasn't great at all, and I get that. But I would like to see teams kind of put the onus on themselves rather than saying, we're going to cut the quarterback and everything's going to be better, because I can guarantee you nothing gets better for the Giants this year by cutting Daniel Jones. Maybe Tommy DeVito wins a couple games, but again, I'm not a fan of seeing someone pushed out the door. And even though they're trying to make it known that it's not Daniel Jones's fault that they're where they're at this year. I think they're 2-8, but at the same time, when you look at it, there's only one person exiting the building. It kind of gives some people to feel that, yes, we're just going to put it on the quarterback and move forward. All right, you're listening to The Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for listening. You can watch on YouTube if you want. If you go to YouTube and search 97.3 The Fan. Also on X, at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby as in boy, Y. You can follow me on social media there. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about Mark Feinsand's tweet and what he said about the MVP vote between Jackson Merrill and all of the others that were in the National League MVP vote. So we'll talk about that when we get back. It's a fun Friday, everybody, on 97.3 The Fan.
This
Hello and welcome back into the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby with you. You're alone on a Friday night, alone in the building, not alone with all the Skrabinators out there. By the way, I just got to say, I really am blown away and surprised and appreciative of everyone who's visited the Skrabinator merch store. I have been told by listeners for a long time I need to put something up so that people can buy stuff, and I just didn't know how to do it, blah, blah, blah. So I did, and people are getting back to me. That didn't make any sense. People are supporting me, and they're supporting me in ways I never thought. So thank you to everybody who's bought something from the Skrabinator merch store. It's all, it's T-shirts, it can be stickers, it can be coffee mugs. I got to say, this website I found is pretty cool. Paul from the morning show, he was the one who recommended it to me, and it works awesome. So you can go to skrabinator-shop.myspreadshop.com. Now, anytime I bring this up, I always have at least one person that says that I'm taking people's money. Maybe not every time I bring it up, but there is someone. And I really, for the longest time, I didn't want to put up a store just because of that. But the more I'm going, the further I am into the Skraby Show, I'm going to look past that a little bit. I appreciate everyone spending their money on these shirts and everything, but I do feel a little uncomfortable asking for money. And now I feel uncomfortable talking about this on the radio because I didn't really think I was going to go into this when I hit the mic button on when I came back from the show. But it's very nice to see everybody repping their Skrabinator stuff. And it's becoming a thing. I told you the other day, so Craig was like, Skrabination, I love that name. So I love it. Thank you so much, people. And I appreciate you all. Dan says, Skraby, I'm alone in an 80,000 square foot building. I feel your pain. That is way, way bigger than this building, I got to tell you. We're on the top floor. We have the entire floor. I'm all by myself. I'm looking each way. I can see all the studios. And that kind of bothers me. I know we were talking about this earlier about how it doesn't bother me, but back in the day, seriously, there were people everywhere doing stuff in the radio station, but not anymore. Not anymore, and that's just the sign of the times. People working from home, people, are able to go take vacations and work out there. So, yes. All right, enough of that. Let's get into Mark Feinsand's tweet, MLB Network. He tweeted something that we brought up yesterday when we found out what the National League MVP vote was, by the way. If you don't know, living under a rock, Shohei Ohtani won it unanimously. And Mark Feinsand pointed out on a national level something that I think is important for a national reporter to actually say. He tweeted, "It is interesting that Jackson Merrill was listed on 19 National League MVP ballots and finished in 9th place, while Paul Skeens was named on 1 ballot and finished tied for 19th, yet Skeens received 23 of 30 National League Rookie of the Year votes to Merrill's 7. Different voters, of course." And yes, they are different voters. They are different voters, and we talked about on Wednesday about the current state of the awards and how they're given out and how they're voted on. And like the all MLB team voted on by coaches of other teams, managers and coaches. The Cy Young, MVP, Rookie of the Year awards are all given out by the Baseball Writers Association of America. And you have to be a part of their association to vote. And so each award, AL, NL, Rookie of the Year, they have different voters. Cy Young, AL, NL, different voters. MVP, AL, NL, different voters. I think you get that by now. But I do think it is very, very, very interesting that Jackson Merrill had 19 votes from people out there, and he finished in 9th place. Paul Skeens, only 1 vote on the ballot, Not even close to where Jackson Merrill was. And again, I hate going to this, but I can't stop thinking about it. And it just seems like this whole thing was set up from the beginning. And I'm even tired of me right now for saying that out loud. But it doesn't make any sense to me. How does one voter think that Jackson Merrill is good enough to be the National League MVP or at least place as a National League MVP? But Paul Skeens barely gets on the ballot. But Rookie of the Year, everybody thought he was great. And yes, of course, you're filtering out a lot of players when you're giving out the Rookie of the Year award. But Mark Feinsand, more important than anything else in this story, I think it's good that he is tweeting this and he is getting this out to a national audience. And I'm happy that Mark Feinsand did that because we were all thinking it here in San Diego. People were thinking it around the country, and he was the one who said it. I don't really know how to quantify Paul Skeens getting 23 Rookie of the Year votes, but not even coming close to what Jackson Merrill got on the MVP ballot. Just not even close. I mean, the Padres had a really nice MVP ballot. They had a bunch of guys on there. I believe Michael King, Dylan Cease, Manny Machado, Jerickson Profar, Luis Arise. You have Jackson Merrill. There was a ton of guys from the Padres on this list. But Jackson Merrill was the one that caught everybody's eye, which is, again, why it's so weird to me that one set of voters saw Paul Skeens as so great that they couldn't vote for anyone else, but then another set of voters, same kind of, reporter deal, recognized and gave credit to Jackson Merrill for the season that he had. It doesn't make any sense. It will never make any sense, but thought I wanted to bring up this tweet from Mark Feinsand because I appreciate him doing this on a national basis. And that's good because people are seeing that. People are maybe thinking about that, and we can move on from it because there's been a lot of emotions this week with Jackson Merrill and Mike Schilt losing their awards or coming in second. I think Tyler on the chat said, we're number two, which we are number 2 for those awards. Real quick on Crochet. I keep seeing writers and reporters saying that the Padres are in on Crochet, who's on the White Sox, and he's a left-handed pitcher, very good left-handed pitcher, but he's, coming off of, he's had his first full season since the Tommy John surgery, and I see, the White Sox are going to want a lot for Garrett Crochet, and one thing that really stands out to me has nothing to do with his pitching, but one thing that really, really stands out to me was that Garrett Crochet kind of blew up his own trade value near the trade deadline. The White Sox were trying to move him, and they were going to get top dollar for him. And then his agent came out and said, if a team is to trade for Garrett Crochet, they would like a long-term contract in place when they get there. And every team was out on that, and he torpedoed his own trade value. Even the GM of the White Sox, I think it's Chris Getz. Ooh, I should look that up before I say things. I've said things wrong so many times today. Oh, by the way, I need to correct myself. I said that Alex Smith went from the 49ers to the Redskins at the time. He did not. I've done this twice today. He went from the 49ers to the Chiefs and Andy Reid. So, yeah, another false thing that I've said today about the NFL. Let's see. Chris Getz. Yeah, he is the GM of the White Sox. But Chris Getz was even very frustrated with Garrett Crochet and his agent. Again, he torpedoed any value that he had because he already had question marks, and the teams that were going to trade for Crochet were going to really have to pay a lot in either major league ready talent or prospect level talent. And so no one wanted to touch that. No one wanted to deal with that. But I don't that whole situation makes me think he's more about himself, and this could be his agent. Maybe we find out his agent was behind this and Garrett Crochet fires him or something like that. But when I just don't like guys that seem like they're all about themselves. And I know that Garrett Crochet is just trying to secure a future for himself. And obviously he should do that. But when you try to torpedo your own trade value, it just doesn't look good. And it doesn't feel good to me. Feels like he was trying to pull a fast one on teams. He thought this was maybe the opportunity for him to get a long-term deal because he had been pitching so well. But I think that the Padres, I don't think that he's a good fit here. And even though he's a great pitcher, I don't think the Padres should, move mountains to bring Garrett Crochet in. You're listening to The Skraby Show. I am Matt Skraby. This show has gone by so fast, like literally so fast. When we get back, I am going to tell everybody about that Jaguar logo. Also, I want to bring to you the Ian Rappaport news that I talked about at the beginning of the show when he said that there's a big mystery of his career. Well, he finally found out what happened, and the mystery is now solved, and Ian Rappaport is not happy. So all of that when we get back, plus Daily Gripe on 97.3 The Fan.
Quinn and Chris on the Fan.
Final segment of the week for the Skraby Show for the station. Weekdays, we know we have Braden Soprano on the weekends on Sunday from 8 to 10 a.m. Last week on Friday, let's see, what happened Friday? Oh, yeah, we were golfing, duh. So we weren't here on Friday. But I do know that LCC, my alma mater, high school here in San Diego, was playing Cathedral at LCC, and I live near LCC, so I went and watched the game from the hills that surround it because I am a hermit and I don't like to deal with large crowds of people. So I just watched it from the hill, and I told Braden that, and he was like, dude, I could have just gotten you into the stadium if you wanted to. I was like, nope. I am cool with sitting in my car on the hill hearing the game going on. But LCC lost. La Costa Canyon was undefeated. Cathedral won. And it was a bummer. It was a bummer. All right. I got very limited time, so I can't waste any more time. The story about Ian Rappaport and how he had a mystery in his career and everything. Well, I'm going to put the video up on the YouTube stream, and you're going to be able to hear the audio, but mainly is the thing is the audio. And I guess back when Mike Mularkey was the coach for the Titans, he told Ian Rappaport reported that he was going to be fired, and then got a call from Mularkey saying that actually they're going to hand me a new contract in the morning. And so Ian Rappaport reported that. And Mike Mularkey recently has made everyone aware as to what happened. So here is Ian Rappaport. The video is 2 minutes long. It's all worth it, though.
After the 2017 season, in the 2018 playoffs, I reported a couple different times the Titans were expected to fire Mike Mularkey. And then I got a tip from a very trusted and reliable source that he was actually getting a contract extension after a playoff run. I reported it. He was fired the next day. It has been one of the biggest mysteries of my entire career, and now it has been solved. Go.
I knew they were going to fire me, so Sunday night I called Ian Rappaport and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to break it to you. But I'm getting a new contract in the morning." And he reported that it was all over the country. I was getting a contract in the morning, knowing that I was going to get fired. But I just wanted to see the faces on the owner and the GM who was out to get me. And I'm pretty sure I got him for a minute or two.
That's amazing.
That is awesome.
That was the Braden Austin Show on Action Sports. Those guys yucking it up. Pretty funny for them, I guess, if you don't care about accuracy and taking someone's reputation and rubbing it in the mud. Everyone said Mike Mularkey's a good guy. He always was to me. I liked him. Thought he was very respectable. That is not cool. That's not funny. I was a younger reporter then, and the amount of online hate and ridicule I got because Mike Mularkey thought it'd be funny to get back at his old boss, it was not fun. So I don't have much to say. I don't blame Mike Mularkey, but I want to. And that was not cool, and that was not funny, and we should treat truth better than that.
Mike?
There you go. And I think Ian Rappaport handled that very well. Now, is it funny that Mike Mularkey did this? Absolutely. It's hilarious that Mike Mularkey did this. Is it cool that Mike Mularkey did this? Absolutely not. It's not cool whatsoever that Mike Mularkey did this because, like Ian Rappaport said after the clip, he was messing with the reputation of someone who is trying to build themselves into being known as a national NFL reporter. And although, again, it's funny for everyone else, I can guarantee you it's definitely not funny for Ian Rappaport because this was his reputation on the line, and Mike Mularkey used him to play a joke on someone that, quote unquote, was out to get him. And I get that Mike Mularkey would want to do that, but to actually go through with it and to know that you're kind of burning someone in the process, not a fan of that. I am someone who definitely likes to treat people how I want to be treated. That's how I was raised. And I would never use someone who is up and coming in their career to get back at the Titans ownership and his bosses. I don't want to say that this is that serious. It's not that serious. Like, he shouldn't get in trouble or anything like that. And Ian Rappaport has been fine. Everything has been okay since all that went down. And I don't know whether or not Mike Mularkey feels bad at all. It doesn't seem like he feels bad at all. And Ian Rappaport does sound very bitter. I'm seeing on the chat, and and yes, he is bitter. But I would be bitter too. I don't know anyone in this business or in any sort of job that would not be bitter if someone used them as a joke or to get back at their bosses. Again, if I remove myself from the situation of like thinking about it happening to me, I do think it's hilarious. I think it's a really funny joke. I think in a vacuum, Mike Mularkey got his bosses back really well. And in a vacuum, Mike Mularkey, did something that was going to cause a reaction. But outside that vacuum, I don't think it's cool. And Ian Rappaport definitely is angry about it. I don't know if I would be angry about it all these years, but maybe he got in trouble from his bosses. Like, how would we all feel if someone played a joke on us like this and then we got fired? Like, what if Ian Rappaport got fired because he was reporting false news? I know Rod says, come on, it's not that serious. You're right. It's not that serious. But in the end, it is kind of serious, because when people go to Ian Rappaport for news, they're like, isn't that one guy who reported that Mike Mularkey got fired or was being rehired and then he was fired? And I know I sound like I'm like overly serious about this, but this is just common human decency that Mike Mularkey looked past. Let's see. I want to see the chat because not everybody agrees with me on this. Dominic says, bet he learned a lesson to double check his stories. I mean, the coach called him. Mike Mularkey called him. Now, if someone like texted Ian Rappaport and said, hey, I heard that Mike Mularkey is going to be getting a contract extension tomorrow, then yeah, you have to check your stories. You really have to check your stories. But this came from Mularkey himself. Jacob says, how could you have any other career besides a reporter given his last name, Rappaport? You're right. Gen X Rod talking, and McKee says. Dominic says, the guy's name is Mularkey. Sounds like malarkey, meaning nonsense. You got a point there. Ian Rappaport should have known the guy, his name is Mularkey. So, man, I feel like I came off a little too serious about that, but I do feel strongly about people using other people. Not a fan of it in any sort of way. Like, no matter how small it is or no matter how big it is, it's not cool to use someone for your own gain. All right, let's get to the Jaguar logo, because I talked about this a little bit with Tony, and they're getting made fun of right now because they had this whole huge thing about how they're revealing a new logo and they're going to make sure and they're gonna make sure everybody knows about it. They're very excited about this logo. It used to have Jaguar underneath, kind of like tilted and in some pretty cool font with an actual Jaguar like jumping over the logo. Now it's definitely not like that, and I'm gonna put it on the YouTube. I'm just gonna describe it. It is it says Jaguar, but it's just very simple typeface. It's like I always love it when companies do these things where they go, hey, we spent millions of dollars on this logo. We asked everyone about this. We love that we did the market research. We love that we brought in the big wigs, the smart people, and we're going to go with this logo. It's so simple. And it's nothing to me. I'm not in the market for a Jaguar car. So I guess, they're not speaking to me. But if anybody out there sees this logo, let me know if you think it's stupid. I think it's extremely stupid because it looks like a 5-year-old could do it. I mean, literally, I think my 9-year-old niece could make this on Photoshop. Oh, wow. And McKee says, I kind of like it. Rod says, looks like the Padres 8384 font. Jack says, my 1-week-old nephew could draw that. That is, yeah. Jacob says it kind of looks like the Clippers logo. I would have to put those up together. But there you go. That's the Jaguar story. I saw this earlier this week, and I thought I would share it with everyone. Do I have anything else to share before we get to the Daily Gripe? I think, let's see. I'm going through all my links right now because I just want to make sure I get everything I teased, because that is one thing I don't want to do anymore, which is tease stuff and never talk about it. Oh, yeah. The oarfish. I don't know anything about fish. I don't know anything about oarfishes. But I saw this, and it concerned me slightly because I do believe in folklore. I guess an oarfish is, if you Google it, it's a disgusting-looking animal, I gotta say. It's really terrible. An oarfish measures 9 to 10 feet long. They usually swim at depths of 300 to 3,000 feet, rarely seen at the surface. But 2 have washed up on the beaches here in San Diego in the last little bit. And what people are saying is the bad thing is that researchers in Japan have found that oarfish showing up on the beach, the folklore in Japan says that those uncommon appearances of deep sea fish are an earthquake precursor. And if the folklore is proved to be true, the appearance of the deep-sea fish could be useful information for disaster mitigation. Now, I don't think that if a fish shows up on the shore that we need to start preparing for an earthquake. But I do think it's interesting, and I do think that there is something to folklore. It came from somewhere. On November 6th, a researcher on an Encinitas beach spotted an oarfish. And there was another one, I believe, that ended up washing up in La Jolla in August. There we go. Finally. Gosh, I had this all highlighted and I couldn't find that part. But yes, they had another one that showed up in September. Or I'm sorry, in La Jolla is August. In September is Huntington Beach. So 3 oarfish here showing up in Southern California beaches in the last couple months. And that is disgusting, I gotta say. It is really gross, this oarfish. Oh, gosh, I'm just looking at this picture. I can't even imagine if I saw this thing on the beach, or if I've even seen it in the water. I can't do it. I hate sea creatures. I really do. They freak me out, and this oarfish freaks me out, too. Ugh, so disgusting.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
People are making funny jokes because I may have said something other than oarfish. It sounds like another word. Anyway, my daily gripe today is one that I know I'm going to upset some people out there. People get overly upset when I say this. And with all the coverage that is going on right now in Wicked, or for Wicked, the movie, musical, my daily gripe is musicals. Over it. I just don't like them. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't like them, or people don't like them, or you shouldn't watch them. You can watch whatever you want. But just know, if I see that this movie is a musical, I am out. But I've seen so much Wicked stuff, I do not care about that movie at all. I know that Tony is actually going to go to Wicked with his family over the Thanksgiving break, which is kind of funny. But Wicked, not for me. Sound of Music, my mom watched maybe 1,000 times. 1,000 times when I grew up. And I can't handle it. Can't do it. Can't do musicals. I'm sorry. If you like musicals, that's great. I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. I personally just cannot handle any musical in any form. The West Side Story was kind of good, but anyway. Wicked just does not look good to me. Jack says, are you going to see Gladiator? Yes. I really, really want to see the new Gladiator. I was a big fan of the first Gladiator. Huge fan of this Gladiator. Gonzo says, what about Grease? Can't stand it. Watched it like 3 times because one of the times I had to for a film class. Anyway, I'm way over. Thank you to everybody who stuck with us all week. Thank you to everybody who's here with me right now. And we go forward into the weekend, back on Monday for a short week, a Thanksgiving week. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Talk to you then on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods. Sometimes sports is serious.